coming. I, of course, am a little biased, but I think this is a hugely important topic, and it's unspeakably gratifying to me that you all are here to learn about it, to better help and understand those people that you work with, that you serve, that you come into contact with. A little bit about me. I'm a clinical psychologist in the Navy. I've been in the Navy a little over 7 years. I've deployed twice to Iraq, to Fallujah in 2004, to Ramadi in 2008. Pretty much since my first deployment, I started focusing on combat stress and PTSD as kind of a subspecialty area. So I've done a lot of work with it, with Marines, sailors, Army, airmen, soldiers, airmen. A lot of work on base, setting up programs, therapy options and services for Marines and sailors on base at Camp Lejeune. So it is a topic close to my heart and something that I've done a lot of work in. The reason I titled this Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder and Other Combat Stress Responses is we are developing a new language for talking about these disorders in the military population. We are talking about them on a continuum. So rather than someone being sick or not sick, they're at a certain place on a continuum of combat stress, and that's one of the things that I'm going to talk to you about today. Those of you who have been in the military or are in the military know that every military presentation has objectives. So these are our objectives: to define and describe combat-related post-traumatic stress disorder, to understand the Navy and Marine Corps stress continuum model, and that's the doctrine that I was just telling you about, to identify causes, risk factors, and common symptoms of PTSD that you may be seeing, to review medical and non-medical, meaning what you can do, interventions, and to discuss leadership tips and resources for you all to refer to. So, combat stress by any other name. We've been dealing with combat stress since we've been dealing with war, which is pretty much since the beginning of our existence. In Civil War, we gave names to it like nostalgia, sort of a pathological homesickness, irritable heart syndrome, because people thought it came from the heart. World War I, of course, the infamous shell shock. World War II, we started calling it exhaustion, battle fatigue. After Vietnam, not during, but after, is when we actually defined the disorder that we now know as post-traumatic stress disorder. It's gone through a couple of changes in description since then, but in 1980 is actually when we defined the term. It's not been around that long, even though the idea has been around forever. In these wars, Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, is when we've realized we actually need some new terminology to help understand and help describe the experiences of people who were on the continuum of combat stress, but who maybe didn't have a clear post-traumatic stress disorder. And so just in these wars, in the last little less than 10 years, we've developed the terms combat operational stress response, or stress injury. And that's a really important concept to understand, because a stress injury might be just as comparable, even more debilitating than a physical injury. So those people that are being medically boarded, separated, retired, discharged, coming out into the community, may be dealing with very real injuries that you may not see because they're invisible. For the first time in American history, 90% of our boys and girls are coming home from combat. 90%, which is one of the reasons why we are dealing so much now with these invisible wounds. Things that would have killed people as early as our last war, as early as Desert Shield, Desert Storm. We are now able to bring people through because of our body armor, because of our medical technology, because medical personnel are going further and further to the front. We bring almost everybody home at this point. But as a result, we are seeing more and more of the invisible wounds, the PTSD, the traumatic brain injury, and that's why this has become such a huge topic and why I'm really, really glad that you're here.